William Sascha Riley says one of the most profound things I've heard in these interviews so far that was conducted by Lisa Noel Bolding. And it's only about 2 minutes and 20 seconds, but it gets at the core of who all these people are. And my takeaway from this short clip is that it was never about party affiliation. It was never about their achievements and their connections. It was never about their name. It was about, when you strip away all of that, who they are as human beings. That they would have been doing these things whether they wore rags or they have riches. And that's what I don't think gets talked about enough. We talk a lot about the connections and they're elite and they have the wealth. And yes, that does play a part. But at their core, these people, it doesn't matter what their station or class is in life. They would be doing these things regardless. And I need you to listen to William Sascha Riley for the full 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And then I want to come back and give some closing thoughts. And I want to say warning, CSA.
But, she was just a sweet, sweet little girl, and that's what these people are. And this world is just not.
Yeah. Do you have a sense that Trump and those perpetrators would specifically try to look for children they thought were really innocent to torture?
Oh, yeah.
Puppies?
Oh, yeah,
like the more innocent, they wanted to torture
yes.
them more?
Yes. It was about the experience to them didn't seem to be all that sexual in nature. It was about taking a bright little energetic youth and then just destroying that person. Even if not physically necessarily, but psychologically and emotionally. Like to the point where they just really were like traumatized for life. That was what they seemed to enjoy doing. And my mother, Mary Riley, was of the exact same personality flaws that those rich people were. And as bad as my dad is, and as far as human beings go, I would say that he's just about a failure in every way. He wasn't even that bad. There was just some semblance of conscience with him. Like, I can remember at that party, him just about breaking down into tears because it was affecting him emotionally to see me take that level of punishment or abuse or whatever. So Lynn was a type of person. She would have smiled and laughed and had a really good time. That's who she was. And that's who Donald Trump is. And that's who Andy Dick is. Those three are like the last level of human as far as depravity goes. I mean, there's nothing in the way of watching another person suffer that they didn't seem to enjoy.
I think one of the saddest parts of that segment, not only hearing in William Sascha Riley's perspective of all that this person experienced, that is who these people were at their core, but that when they talk about their adoptive father and how their father was almost brought to tears by seeing them take on this kind of abuse. And that is just so sad to me, because as a father, if somebody was doing that to my child, to know that years later they would be saying, my dad almost cried, and not be saying, my dad did what my dad had to do to get me out of that situation, and my dad's no longer with me. My dad passed from this earth trying to save my life. Not saying that, oh, I remember Dad was almost brought to tears, but that Dad actually did something. That's the saddest part of the whole thing, because William Sascha Riley's perspective is so submerged in trauma that their perspective of their adoptive father almost being brought to tears resembles affection. Even though their father subjected them to aberrant things over and over and over again for money. I can't even imagine. You know, we hear people like Todd Blanche now saying that all these people named in these files, doesn't really see anything coming to fruition as far as, any sort of thing, anything materializing. And all of these names are in these files. They're right there. They're full names. Donald Trump's name is in those files, countless times. And Todd Blanche is saying, oh, I just don't know if anything's going to materialize from this, guys. What are you talking about? How do you fucking sleep at night? How do you sleep? You have children. This is why when you hear people say that have been victims themselves, who aren't in the limelight right now because of the standing of these figures, right? Just people that fall through the cracks. People that never have a voice. You hear them say, well, I never came forward because no one would believe me. Nothing would be done. We don't even believe children. We don't even believe children. This whole collective, oh, protect the children, save the children, we don't even fucking believe them. I'm not saying you don't, and I'm not saying I don't. I do. I'm talking about there's this collective mentality that these things are so just unbelievable, right? That we can't believe that these people would do these things. We don't even believe children. William Sascha Riley recounting what they lived through when they were as young as 8 and 9 and 10. Nobody would have believed William Sascha Riley back then. Nobody. And William Sascha Riley may not have even lived if they had tried to tell that story back then. There were too many adults around William Sascha Riley for that person to ever have a chance at even being heard. And all these years later, coming forth, and there are millions of people who still don't fucking believe the child that's telling the story inside of that fucking grown adult. The child that never got a chance to live a fucking childhood. The childhood that was stolen. That was ripped from the innocence of a young 6 or a 7 or an 8-year-old. Just like they talk about. The child's trying to speak to all of us through this grown person known as William Sascha Riley. And there's so many people that aren't listening. There's so many people that just can't bring it upon themselves to listen to the story of just one fucking child that is struggling after decades to get out and be heard.